So I would love to open the conversation in terms of the work process and what it was like to get this film off the ground.
Right.
Considering you've been trying to make this film for 40 years and you're only 43.
Yeah. No, I haven't. So the way it worked was we were I think what was going on. We'd just done Field in England, and it had come to a point where it looked like we could. We never thought about this before because we come from such a low budget area, but now it was becoming a possibility to license books, right? So I think Amy and I have been through the process of looking at rights for books and talking to the authors or to the authors' families and stuff, and it was all, it was getting there. And then I saw High Rise on the shelf, and I thought, well, High Rise hasn't been made. That's weird. So I talked to my agent, and my agent said that Jeremy Thomas had the rights to it. And then, but very quickly, I went to see him, and he'd seen Sightseers the same week, which was really lucky, and he was coming to the end of a cycle of development with another director and writers, and so it all kind of clicked together. So it was really lucky, really. I mean, and if that hadn't happened, we'd have just gone back to the developing of our own scripts and done another one of the original scripts. So.
I love that an old school guy like Jeremy Thomas got his teeth into Sightseers.
Yeah, well, but Jeremy's like, he's all across everything all the time. I think that's the interesting thing with the proper kind of old school professional characters, is they have to know all about cinema. I mean, I certainly talking to someone the other day who's an art director, and he was being interviewed by Ridley Scott for a job, and Ridley Scott knew every film he'd done, and it from the beginning of his career up to the thing, and he'd watched them all. Because he has to know about everything, I think it's pretty important, all that.
Was it a no-brainer to set it in the 70s for you?
Yeah, that was our idea that we wanted to. Well, it's more that you just go, we're adapting the book. What's the book? It's then. It's not now. It's the past, looking to the future, rather than trying to adapt the actual future plus 20 years, and then try and shoehorn the book into it. It seemed to make more sense to go back to. And I also think by now the 70s actually becomes kind of a more interesting visual space than it probably was in the 70s for the 70s audience. I'm interested in, that, and one of the reasons why not to set it now or in the future, because now is not interesting for us, so yeah.
But there was also a love of 70s film flowing all the way through it, I felt.
Mm-mm.
I was even going to say to you, I'm sure it's pure coincidence, but I was looking at Luke Evans and I said, God, he reminds me of the protagonist from Frenzy. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as literal as that, but we talked to Luke about looking at Oliver Reed and kind of that. He was basing it around that to a degree. Obviously it's all Luke. But there's a swagger to Reed, and that I think helped Luke get him in his right, in the headspace of it. But there's nothing. It's not as these kind of influences are never as literal as like a straight lift. They're more echoes than anything, I think.
Did you avoid going near any of the other attempts at it in terms of scripts? Bruce Robinson's work and Nicholas Wright's?
Yeah, I never saw any of those, which is a shame. I'd like to have seen the Rogue One. I mean, I'd look now the film's made. And the Robinson script's meant to be amazing as well. But,
It's interesting he avoided the Laing's name. He changed him to Lovell, I think.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I don't know.
And there was another adaptation to try to set the whole thing in a desert. It's just one big complex in the middle of the desert. I can't remember the filmmaker's name.
Yeah.
But I suppose, again, everyone tries to put their mark on it. I mean, what would you feel your own mark is on the work as an adaptation?
I think the thing that Amy and I brought to it is perspective of time, so that the particular axe that we have to grind is like an idea of what the 70s was, and having been children through it, and that our parents would have been the same age as Laing and Charlotte and Wilder and all those people, so have a knowledge of it, a working knowledge of it, and an emotional knowledge of it. And I think it's that married with the book is the thing that makes the film, that gives the film its charge, I think.
It's funny, for some reason, after I watched that poem, I can't remember the poet, they fuck you up, your mum and dad. It was resonating in my head as I got to cinema. I haven't seen that many cigarette smoking film, and I think continuity people must have hated you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a tricky one, smoking and continuity. I think drinking's harder, but I think the main thing is just to not give a fuck. I mean, my favourite director, is Scorsese, and like, you know, he doesn't give two fucks about continuity ever, you know, and quite right. As long as emotionally the scenes run, it doesn't make any difference unless it's really egregious. But I think you know, mostly no one notices, only pedants and people who are looking at stuff that they shouldn't be looking at. You know, it's like you shouldn't really notice it if you're engaged in the scene. You know?
True. In Down Terrace, you said a lovely thing at the talk you gave during the John Ford weekend. And it was to do with warning the cameraman that he wasn't to be hanging around lighting things up. Again, it was the nature of a quite a heavily improvised piece you did. What was it like? Did you feel? Did you lose those freedoms in a big way when you went to something like High Rise, which got so much virtuoso technicality in a different fashion?
I think that a majority of the film was done in available light, but artificial available light. So all the sets had ceilings, and then the light. Laurie lit it from the outside, so he had to approximate the sun and those kinds of things. So that there was a massive challenge for him there. But once we were inside the space, we could move pretty quick. So it wasn't. I mean, as lovely as it looks, it's not as controlled. It's not that kind of world of like loads of flag stands and loads of little lights and stuff. It's a much more environmental lighting that we were reported from inside it.
So the freedoms were still there for the actors.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to break the process that we were having to adapt to a lot of new kind of ways of working, and we didn't want to pull away the one thing that we knew, which was how to make films. You know, so we weren't going to go suddenly and go at 90 degrees to what we've always done. I think it's a gradual development that Laurie and I have had over the 6 movies. Is like, you know, you can see it in the lens choice as well. Like, so you can tell we've come from TV because Down Terrace is very shallow focus, and then slowly we've kind of grown up a bit and gone out and out and out until it's much more deep focus, and also, you know, the tracking and dolly stuff is not something you can immediately do well, you know, and it's taken a long. I mean, I was lucky enough to do Ideal, the TV show, so I practiced quite a lot on that, but that was a few years ago, you know, so I haven't had much dolly practice. But that's actually why I did Doctor Who that year, the same year, was so that I could just sharpen up and shoot a lot of stuff fast, but a kind of medium budget. So Doctor Who is about $1 million an hour or something like that. So in the end, it's a little bit less. It's half as much as High Rises, but it kind of you get the same level of equipment and storytelling. Kind of, you know, you have to block fast and shoot fast, and that was it was a good kind of boot camp for me to get back into. It was
a challenge to kind of be under different restrictions.
Yeah, and I did, and I went into that on purpose, you know, and did it like that. I mean, obviously one half of doing Doctor Who was as I was a fan, and I wanted to do something my son could watch, but the other half of it was definitely going, right, fuck it, I'm gonna really bash this out and be as much on my game as I can before doing High Rise.
So it was your preparation, obviously, then.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ideal, by the way, you came in very late in that, and you still had a major impact on it as a director. And I hear you possibly, is it a big rumour, or is it going to happen in the Ideal movie?
I don't know. I mean, that all got press released without anyone asking me. So it was like, great. We'll see.
Well, I see you get Graham Duff was in your film there.
Yeah.
I didn't spot him, but he was there.
He's the bloke, he's in the supermarket and he goes, I bet you wish you'd been waiting in the queue now. That's him.
I had to go to Manchester to get the complete Ideal. It's really hard to get over here. Season 1 and that's it.
Really? Yeah.
You know, I had to be in Manchester. My girlfriend was born over there, and it was Christmas as soon as I saw complete Ideal box set.
Yeah, they spelled my name wrong on it. I'm really chuffed about that.
But I mean, you've got so much. I mean, I think you said it yourself that you were making stuff for YouTube when it was YouTube, when the internet was the internet, which you agree it's not now. I mean, what would you say to people who are the next generation? They seem to be changing so quickly, if you know what I mean, in terms of what way the work is presented for young filmmakers. I
don't know. It's really hard. I mean, I think you have a half-life on your advice, and mine's run out. You know what I mean? It's like mine was relevant for about 5 years ago, and it's not relevant anymore.
You're old school now.
Well, I think the thing is that the only advice that you can give is to make stuff, and it's really an unhelpful bit of advice, because the only stuff that you make that will help you is good. If it's good, it will help you, and if it's not good, it won't, and that's it, you know. But I think the main thing is that you have to keep making and not waiting, because the waiting is pointless. And the more thing, and every time you make something, you will improve. So and if that, and I think the other thing I found is because I was 40 by the time I made just about 40, I think, by the time I made Down Terrace, is that if you keep at it, eventually you can. There is no stop date when it becomes irrelevant. You know, I mean, I always look at it from Orson Welles at 26. It's like your first date, disappointing age when you go, oh, fuck, I made a film when I'm 26. But the other end is Ken Russell at 50. So he makes his first feature, even though he had a career of making amazing television, but he doesn't really direct his first film till he's 50. So yeah, and even Paul Verhoeven, where he made loads of movies in Holland, but RoboCop, he's like 52 when he made that. So there is a chance, and the longer you keep holding out, then the more chance you've got of
give me hope.
being the last man standing. It's true. It's absolutely true. And also, as you get older, you get better at it. Which
is kind of interesting. And then Russell went the other way in terms of all his one-man home movies that he made, when no one will back him anymore. And he had an amazing body of work from 50 to 70, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, incredible. And he was just really unlucky, Russell, I think, because if he'd have been 10 years younger, he would have not hit all that crappy mini DV stuff, and he probably would have shot it on DSLR, and then all that stuff probably would have been really great, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really interesting point. I think it was the last thing he did an Edgar Allan Poe adaptation.
Well, no doubt.
and then he did it for real when he burned his house to the ground. I think his real version of Fall of the House of Usher. Thanks, Ben. I know you're worn out and you've had a long date, so no final questions. Any final word? Good luck with the movie, by the way.
Oh, cheers, man.
I mean, one last question. I mean, again, you don't go the easy road in terms of where your subject matter is, and you do, I think, a strong kind of following. But was it a real tough sell to get high-rise finance? No,
it wasn't. There didn't seem to be much resistance to it at all. It was great. And we felt really lucky when we were making it, because it really felt like the last big kind of crazy art film that will be done, for a while. So that was where the responsibility was. I mean, obviously there was a responsibility to the book, but I think is that the last time that for a while that something like this will be made.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, and good luck tonight.